Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Disney WTF, where we talk about what's the fuss about Disney. I'm Richie, and I'm here with my partner in good deeds, Lori, and she's a Disney lover, and I really just don't get it, but somehow we've figured out a way to make this relationship work.
Stop with
Nailed
the
it.
smile. You did nail it. I'm
smile
really excited
often.
for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm ready to start the show with a couple headlines.
Headlines.
So the first one, the Orlando Magic now has a jersey sponsor of Disney.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
I really didn't expect that. I wonder who was it before? Was it like an airline? We don't know.
Well, I have no idea.
I gotta Google that. I'll look that up later. Okay.
I'm not familiar. I really don't follow basketball, so I really don't know. Do other sports teams, basketball teams, have jersey sponsors?
Oh, it's a jersey sponsor? I thought it was the arena sponsor.
No. It's Orlando Magic's first jersey sponsor.
Oh, that's big news. That's bigger news than normal.
Oh, really?
Well, for me it is, because I actually thought that it was when I first heard about this, I thought it was like they bought like the arena to be named after Disney, which I was like, oh, that makes crazy sense.
Well, because now that it's the Amway Center, and
Exactly.
it's still the
Okay.
Amway Center.
So I thought it was going to be like the Disney Center, but no, it's going to
that
be...
would be awesome.
Yeah. But no, it's going to be the jersey sponsor. Okay, so so the NBA is starting now to have sponsors on their jerseys. So this is a new thing for the NBA as a whole. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's starting now for the NBA as a whole.
So
it's going to be
for
like
instance,
NASCAR.
If Disney is on their jersey, is it still like a Nike jersey?
It'll probably still be a Nike jersey, I think.
With the Nike check
I think so.
and all that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do think so. It's similar to, for example,
Soccer.
in NASCAR. Yeah, well, I was going to say, the comparison that was, in NASCAR, they're driving a Ford car, but yet they have, Target and other, companies and stuff on there, even though it's a Ford. I think it's going to be, that same way, where it's going to be a Nike shirt, but it's going to have all the logos, but Nike made the material of the shirt. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay, good.
It's kind of crazy, though, because even so, you think of NASCAR, to use your comparison, it's a huge, huge logo.
Yeah.
But I get it because you're looking at it from far away and it's a car. But if you look at the jersey that they're going to start wearing, Disney is just a very it's a little small patch.
But you're going
at
to be
the
able to see
corner.
it. The cameras are definitely going to pick it up.
Yeah, they probably have a deal too. Whenever there's an Orlando Magic game, you have to have at least 3 shots of the Disney logo.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I thought it was crazy too.
That is pretty
And
crazy.
I don't even care for basketball that much. Okay, next little piece of news. The 2017 Eat to the Beat concert series, the lineup has been announced. And so those are the shows.
Great. I'm glad you're going to explain this because I don't know what it is.
Okay. So during Food and Wine Festival, they have concerts.
Okay.
And they have some really famous acts that come to perform at Epcot. And it's crazy because you just go to Epcot, you eat, and then you're going to stumble upon Boyz II Men, who is going to perform this year again.
Cool.
They perform regularly every year.
Every year.
And
Norms.
here's something that I'm kind of disappointed about, though. The Gin Blossoms, one of my favorite 90s alternative rock bands, is not on the lineup this year. And I have never seen them at Eat to the Beat concert. And I told myself, this year is going to be the year,
Ooh, that
especially
sucks.
since we hear them at work so often.
Well, hopefully they'll come back and you'll be able to experience that.
I hope nothing happened to them.
Breaking news, they broke up.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, that's funny.
So it's very, very exciting. Hanson's going to be there. Kenny G, one of your favorites.
Don't know who that is.
Okay. The guy with the saxophone.
I still don't know who that is.
Okay. Well, they're all going to perform. So very, very exciting.
Okay.
I can't wait till we go to Food and Wine this year. It always falls around my birthday that we end up going. So I hope that happens again this year.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure Disney's not going to change their schedule for your birthday.
I hope not.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. That's all I got.
All right. So if you're watching now, you can see that we're both wearing Hawaiian shirts. And that is because part of our episode today, we're going to talk about princesses as a whole in general, and some princes. And then
we're going to talk
and princes are very similarly in words.
Yeah.
Difficult to distinguish.
It's like...
No, the plurals of them. Not just the words themselves, but also the plurals of them. It's even harder. Anyway, so we're also going to feature at the end of it.
Moana.
Yes, her.
Which we saw for the first time last night. Just got on Netflix, and I'm so excited. I've been wanting to see the movie for the longest time.
Yes.
And it's finally happened.
Yes.
I stayed up really late to watch it after work.
So, inspired by that movie, I got really curious about, okay, princesses. What is the fuss about princesses? Mm-hmm. So I will start with my first question.
Please.
Which is on my paper here. I wrote it down so I didn't forget. Does Disney play more to little girls or more to little boys in terms of their characters? Like, who, as a whole, is Disney targeting usually?
This is a really good question. And I think it depends on the movie, for sure.
Okay.
Because if you have a Disney princess movie, such as Cinderella, Brave, these are all movies that have princesses. Mm-hmm. A boy, and I've never been a little boy, Ricard, so you can tell me if this is the case, a boy wouldn't be as interested in watching that, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Like, I did not want to watch Cinderella when I was little.
I watched it all the time.
Okay.
But so did my brother, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But Disney still does have lots of movies and characters that they try to gear, or I don't want to say gear towards little boys, but maybe they would be more interested in than a princess movie. Mm-hmm. So Toy Story, Lion King, I mean, those are types of movies that don't really gear towards one or the other. And maybe even boys more because the main protagonists are male. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't think that it gears towards one more than the other necessarily. Maybe a movie is going to be more interesting to a particular gender, depending on what the subject matter is, of course.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Where was I going with that thought? Oh, yes.
Okay.
But in terms of like movies, like creating them, I think that Disney knows that they can make a lot of money off of Disney princess movies.
Okay.
So you think about a Disney princess movie, for instance, all the costumes that eventually end up at the Disney parks, all the soundtracks that are gonna get sold and sang by little girls or little boys, you know.
Okay.
But it just they're money making machines.
Yeah.
So I think that in if they're going to be making a Disney movie, mm-hmm. even if they're going to gear more towards girls by making a princess movie, they know what they're doing.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. But as a little boy, what Disney movies did you watch?
Honestly, I don't really remember. I mean, I do remember The Lion King being big. Mm-hmm. But see, the thing is, though, is like even with like The Lion King and like Toy Story, again, like it's not really like an overly favoritism towards like one like gender. You know, mm-hmm. like it's more like anyone could fall in love with like, you know, Toy Story. But like I think it's very hard to find the average little boy to fall in love with Pocahontas. Mm-hmm. Pocahontas is Disney, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
She's a Disney princess.
Okay, there you go. Exactly. So you see where I'm going there? So, I don't know. As a kid, yeah, I didn't have, like, anything crazy that I was, like, you know, I wasn't a Disney fan as a kid, I would say. I'm pretty sure that even when I was a kid, I was watching a lot of these things, and I really didn't really know it was Disney. Like, I didn't know what Disney was. Mm-hmm. I just knew it was, like, Lion King. Well, and that was, like, I thought it was, like, its own entity. A world.
When I was a kid too, if I were to watch a cartoon, I would assume it was Disney.
Oh, like everything was Disney to you. So opposite. That's so crazy how opposite that is. Interesting. That is super interesting to me, actually.
Yeah, I would just assume that it was Disney if it was a cartoon for some reason. I don't know.
That's really funny. Interesting. Well, I'm glad this came out.
But you know what? Then later on in life, I did find out that a lot of what I did watch as a kid that was cartoons. Mm-hmm. So Sword in the Stone and Robin Hood, mm-hmm. those classics, or that I consider classics, those were Disney all along. So yeah, it was kind of ingrained from the very beginning.
Maybe that's why your dad only lets you watch Disney stuff. It's like, no, it's not Disney. Take it off. And maybe that was like a rule in your house. I'll ask him about that later when he's on the show.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, next question about princesses.
Sure.
What was the first white? Well, what or who was the first non-white princess or prince?
It was Princess Jasmine in Aladdin.
In Aladdin?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Huh.
Yeah. But you think about this. So Snow White was the first Disney princess.
Okay.
It was in the 1930s that she was created.
Snow White.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as a Disney princess,
Yeah.
of course there was a book and all that, but Disney made the movie in the 1930s.
Okay.
And Aladdin is in the 90s. So
Oh
it
my
took
God.
60 years
Yeah.
for a non-white
White.
princess.
You know what's crazy though about that? Even in the 90s, I still think that, I don't want to say it was early, but I feel like some of the more recent, princesses that are like of color seem to be like really more tailored to people with like, they're trying to get that audience, I would say, in my personal opinion, because of all the like, things that are happening in the world with like politics and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think in the 90s when they made Aladdin, people were like, ooh, she's colored. Like, I don't think that was that way.
No, I don't think so either. I think it was just a concept for a movie, and that's what they decided to go with.
Yeah.
And because of where it was set, she had to be of a certain ethnicity.
Yeah, it would have been weird if she was white.
If she was Cinderella, if she was blonde, in the middle of Agrabah.
True. Interesting.
Yeah. So, and since then, there's Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana. So more Disney princesses that are not of white ethnicity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I definitely see what you're saying about how now with the times they do want to become more inclusive, because they'll probably get a lot of backlash if they keep coming out with only white major characters. So it's something interesting, especially with the fact that Moana is the most recent, I don't want to say Disney princess, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But she's the most recent female character in an animated feature from Disney.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool because now a lot of different faces are being represented.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of little girls.
Now it's normal. Now it's not like a news
Yeah.
if like a new one, colored
color
person comes out.
Yeah, but it's a lot of probably little girls can see themselves in these girls' faces and relate more maybe to them.
Yeah.
But who doesn't love a good classic Disney princess movie where she needs help?
You know what I want to...
And she meets a prince and he saves her.
What I want to, I guess, get into also, I mean, this wasn't part of the questions I had, but because Disney princesses probably set like a tone in like little girls' lives as to what like it is like to be a girl. And I wonder, like, has that changed over time, like in terms of like, as like roles have changed with women and they're like more in the workforce and like things like that. Has that kept up? Like, has that been shown in Disney at all, where it's like the roles are kind of like becoming more equal?
I think so. And I think so, especially with Moana is a good example. But I think that women are shown to be more than just waiting for their prince to arrive, just wanting to find love and all that, but to show that she's capable of caring about more things than just finding a man.
Yeah.
So, Mulan, she went off to war to save her father. And granted, that was based on a true story, but
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But, it shows that as a woman, you can be more capable than just finding someone who loves you and to whisk you away, but you can be a strong person and have strong family values, and that's why you make the decisions in your life, however dangerous or controversial they might be. And it's pretty cool to be able to see that.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even so, when I saw Mulan for the first time, I wasn't thinking about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, ooh, this is a good movie.
Because I just feel like, the reason I think about it is I feel like everything, like whether it's a commercial now, movies, like I feel like roles of gender and race and like religion are now, such like a conscious thing that I feel like at some point in the production of all these things that's thought about.
Oh, of course.
So that's why that's why I mentioned it, to see, because I know it's thought about, and I just want to see if like it's like visible, like, that this was thought through and like it was on purpose.
You know what though? I don't, and it is crazy to think that it's definitely thought about now when they're building up a concept for a movie and they're deciding like, okay, well, if the title character is going to be black, don't you think we should have a black person voicing it if it's an animated feature? Like, of course, you know, and if they didn't have that, then they would probably get a lot of backlash. But maybe back in the 90s or in the 80s, or of course in the 30s, you know, they weren't thinking about that. They were just thinking about, okay, this is the story, you know, that's going to be that. It's not about being so inclusive. Which is something interesting, talking about boys and girls again. You know, gender lines these days are not as cut and dry as they used to be.
No.
So I remember this episode of Friends when Ross's son got a Barbie doll and he was trying to make him play with like a dinosaur or G.I. Joe, and you know, nowadays it might not be as relevant. Because it's not one of those like controversial things. If a boy has a Barbie doll, it's, you know, maybe it's not something you see every day, but maybe it's not worthy of a whole TV show storyline because they don't want to go there.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
So, yeah. I just thought that was interesting.
Cool. Okay. So, my last question that I wrote down is who is the most famous princess and prince and why? Why?
This was a hard one.
Okay.
Because you think about the most famous person, it's kind of hard to tell. So I went to box office values first.
Oh,
because I wanted to
like
see which princess made the most money at the box office.
I like that. It's a good way to measure it.
And this might be surprising. It might not be. It was a little surprising to me. Snow White. The most technically by the money popular Disney princess.
Really? And when did that movie come out?
In the 30s.
Oh, that movie? I thought it was just a book in the 30s.
No. So the movie was developed in the 30s, and it was a big deal when it came out. It was it was a revolutionary in its technical aspects. And so you think about, that movie made the most money. And all of the Disney princesses. But then you think about it, for the time, of course it was going to make a lot of money, because how many movies and animated features that synced up sound and music were available to watch back in the day. So everybody's going to watch it. Boys, girls, men, women, everybody's going to go to watch it.
Is that also accounting for inflation?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Of course it is.
Okay, just making sure. That's legit.
If it was just outright, it made all this money when coffee was like 2 cents, then that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
But it does account for inflation.
That is really cool information.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that.
And I didn't. No.
The number 2 would be Cinderella. Also,
I was going to say Aladdin.
Number
3?
Number 3 was Aladdin.
Damn.
No, wait. I'm sorry. Number 3 was Frozen. That was my mistake.
Oh, no. Actually, I would have thought Frozen would have won. Frozen is so big.
I thought Frozen was going to win too. And who knows? Is it because that it's in the most recent memory of this huge box office feature? Frozen is everywhere.
I thought it like broke records and stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. I thought it was big. Anyway.
It is big.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is big, but I thought it was going to be bigger than like Cinderella.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's another thing, though. I mean, you think about the time, how many movies were available that were animated features at that time.
Yeah.
In it was the 50s, I believe. And then you account for inflation. Then, of course, those were sneak attacks, I will say.
Okay.
But then in modern times, Frozen would be the winner.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so, okay, popular princesses. And then I was thinking to myself, what would be my favorite Disney princess? And I wouldn't be really able to decide, because you look at the lineup and you see yourself, if that movie was on TV, yeah, you'd watch it.
Yeah.
You would just tune in, you know, because it's not because they're your favorite.
Which one is that?
No, any movie.
Oh, you didn't have a favorite?
No.
I thought you were about to tell me what your favorite was.
No, I don't have a favorite.
You don't have a favorite. It's like children. You can't pick like your favorite one type of thing?
Yeah, they're all my children.
Gotcha.
And then I took it to another level. Which Disney princess is represented most in the parks? Because which would Disney invest their money on?
Really didn't think you'd go there, but that's great.
Which would Disney invest their money in to
promote more?
Promote, yeah. And so Snow White used to have a ride in Magic Kingdom. It's no longer there. Okay. Now Belle from Beauty and the Beast has her own restaurant and a show in Magic Kingdom. Ariel has a ride from Little Mermaid.
Frozen has a ride. I know that fact. Right?
Oh, yes. Frozen has a ride in
Okay.
Epcot.
I was going to say, I could have sworn they replaced the ride with Frozen.
Well, now Snow White has a roller coaster, so in that way she might be the biggest still. Interesting.
They might have been like, let's put her like up here.
Yeah.
Huh.
A step above.
Yeah. Cool.
And then Jasmine doesn't have a ride.
Mm-hmm.
Mulan doesn't have a ride or a restaurant.
They're just, yeah. I guess that's telling.
Neither does Tiana.
That's telling.
They have meet and greets though. You can meet them and get their autograph.
Yeah.
But they don't have a ride.
That's pretty telling.
Pocahontas doesn't.
What about the movie? So let's talk about the movie. So you saw it last night.
Moana.
Again. Yes.
Yes.
How do you spell it?
Moana.
So it's a Moana, because I thought there was an L in there. Okay.
No.
Moana. So I wasn't really watching it because I was doing stuff on my phone. And
you went to bed.
then I went to bed. I was super tired. Anyway, I was trying to tell you earlier that it seemed like a good movie. I didn't get emotionally attached because I just wasn't watching it. I wasn't like all in watching it, but I want to hear about it.
Okay. So the reason why I waited so long to see Moana is because we just don't go to the movies that much.
True.
I hate to say it because it would have been nice to see on the big screen because it was just like a beautiful movie. Can you imagine seeing those ocean views on a big screen? Which you saw the ocean views at least.
We need a bigger TV.
Anywho, a topic for another time.
Yes.
So the first time I really was like, oh my goodness, I really want to see Moana. Well, obviously when it was announced, but then I was like, oh my goodness, when is it coming out to be seen on Netflix? Was actually when we were watching the Happily Ever After fireworks show.
Okay.
Because there was a segment of Moana,
Yeah.
and you hear this beautiful song called How Far I'll Go, and I listened to it like 5 times today, by the way. Richie wasn't home.
I was at work.
And so it's just, it was just amazing. Like I had to watch it. And then when I actually did, it was an awesome movie. And when I finally got to the end, it was a refreshing movie to see in terms of plot, because it's not one of those movies where the girl needs to be saved, but she's saving her.
The Rock.
She
What's
was
his name?
Maui.
Maui. Okay.
She didn't save. I mean, I guess you could say she saved The Rock in parts of the movie, but she was saving her whole village.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, spoiler alert, because we're gonna go over a little details, I guess, that if you haven't seen the movie yet, you want to watch it before you listen to this. Except for Richie, because I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay.
So she was in line to be chief of her village.
Okay.
And she thought that her role in the world could have been different, because she wanted to see what was beyond what her island was, and she always longed for the ocean. And her dad said, "No, you can't go out there. It's dangerous. We know we can't go out there." Come to find out, her dad's best friend died in the ocean, and that's maybe one of the reasons why he doesn't want her to venture out there. But then all of a sudden, the village resources where they live off of, the land, started to decay, and as future chief, she needed to find a way to have all these resources restored. And long story short, she finds a way, and then she sets sail to go get it done.
Okay.
And she did.
Cool.
You know, in the end, it was hard work. She had to learn a lot about doing things and about herself, and in the end she was able to save her village. Well, save her village, but then they venture off into the ocean as a whole village.
Did it ever unveil who the ocean was? Like, was that someone, or was the ocean just nature talking to her?
The ocean was nature talking to her, although her grandmother was a part of the spirit that she used to pick herself up when she was down. But the ocean was its own entity, which is crazy because the ocean had supernatural powers.
Yes,
because it did crazy things.
As it does normally.
Yes,
In
I
real
guess
life.
that's true. Yeah, you're right. Flash floods.
Yeah.
But so this kind of brought up a different topic to me in my head. Like, is Moana considered a Disney princess? And so I looked to see who's actually a Disney princess, because I didn't know if you know this, Ricard, but there's an official lineup
Okay.
of Disney
Which
princesses.
we need to post a link somewhere too.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's only 11 official Disney princesses, and Anna and Elsa in Frozen, they're not on the official roster
Oh shoot. Maybe like they have stuff still to do.
to
Like,
be
to get on
inducted.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe they just applied last week.
Their application's in the mail.
Yeah.
And even so, to be a Disney princess, you don't have to technically be considered a princess. So Mulan was the first Disney princess who was not actually a princess. She was never a princess.
Yeah, she was a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Of
So
life.
yeah, exactly. So
Interesting.
And then, is Moana going to be inducted as a princess? Which they kind of addressed in the movie, because the Maui, the Rock's character, he said, "Oh, you're nothing but a princess." And then I think you heard the line that if you wear a dress and have an animal best friend, you're a princess.
Did not hear that line.
Oh,
but I
it was
get
so funny.
Okay. Oh, I did get to see the chicken. That stupid little chicken was funny.
Hey, yeah.
That was Hey Hey's name.
He was really funny.
The blind chicken.
Oh, poor guy.
That thing was funny.
But
And then the guy that was like doing this, that friggin'
In the beginning?
scene. Yeah, in the beginning. Maybe I'll watch the whole thing eventually.
So I read an article online that brought this up, and it was Disney becoming self-realizing. Like, just because she has she's wearing a dress and she has an animal sidekick, it doesn't mean that she's a princess. She's she's the daughter of a chief. She's out on this quest, but it's not to fulfill being a princess.
Yeah, like it's not the daughter of a king type of thing.
Well,
Because that's what a princess is.
I mean, technically, yes.
Okay.
If you were to look up the definition in Wiki, yes,
Okay.
technically. But I think Disney's kind of showing that they know that you don't have to have the princess title to be somebody who's fit to be a princess.
Yeah.
It's
like the conversation. It just reminds me of the conversation of like leadership stuff, like big L versus little L leader.
Yeah.
That's another topic.
For another podcast.
Yeah, for another podcast. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it just blew me away. And Moana, the name, it means ocean and the sea.
Oh.
And I just
And is it Hawaiian?
the origins are Polynesian, so
okay.
I don't think they.
God, I really thought it was in Hawaii.
Well, it was to be in like Tahiti, Bora Bora, like that area of Polynesia, and a lot of the voice actors were voiced by New Zealand actors, which is considered to be in that area of the world. And you want to hear something crazy too? Moana, the stars that they animated in the movie were based on constellations that you would see 2,000 years ago. And the village resources that they showcased in the movie was based on resources they would have 2,000 years ago.
That's pretty crazy, actually.
So you're wondering, are you looking back in time?
What it, like it was like historians produced this type of thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I actually want to see the resume of the people that like came up with that stuff, and see like what else were they doing.
Yeah, to see what other cool things they're producing.
Yeah. Or like, what if like Disney like grabbed like you in the lab, like quit that job and come do this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish they told me to do that.
Yeah, one day.
I know, hopefully. But yeah, so I just think it's really cool that Moana she's a strong girl. There's no love interest in this movie whatsoever.
So their relationship was like The Rock and her was like mentee type
exactly,
of thing? Okay.
Exactly. And I just think it's a super cool dynamic that I think Disney needs to do more often, especially with the times that we're living in, and where Disney princesses can be looked at as role models to young people.
See, I feel like, if anything, what we were... See, this is going to get crazy here. Okay? This just hit me. So, what we were just talking about, like, gender roles and, like, things changing and stuff like that, right? You think about, like, the business world now, right? The big tycoons of business has historically been, like, a male, right? Historically. And then women are now like getting into it, which obviously there's very super powerful women now, yes. But at some point, women had to like go into the workforce or go into wherever, and usually it would be under the mentorship of a male, right? Given that like this like pre like this big change, like let's say that first started, like most likely if you're a woman that's going into like and be a boss somewhere, you're likely first going to be like maybe under the mentorship of a male, which kind of is represented in this movie.
I can agree with you on the fact that traditionally in the workforce, yes, it's something that's seen. But you think about the woman that's mentoring whatever gentleman comes after her to succeed.
Yes.
But whatever. But in the movie, the greater power was the island herself.
The island herself?
Yes. Well, because you didn't see the movie. The whole
so the
thing.
Island was another entity like the ocean was.
Yeah, but Maui who was again the male mentor, was guided by a female entity, a goddess. So there's that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, and again, nowadays it's not necessarily like all cut and dry that there's going to be the male mentor, because sometimes there might not be.
Well, there's also the saying of, behind every great man, there's a great woman.
Oh.
So maybe like they also was like, hey, don't forget. Like, and they threw that in there with the island women. Anyway, let's be on the point.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. But I mean, there's definitely still a long way to go in terms of, and even on Disney property, there's definitely still a long way to go for female leadership, I think. Yeah. Because you think about the number of CEOs that are out there that are women, and it's just there's no comparison to the numbers of men.
Yeah.
So, again, a topic for a different time.
And a different podcast.
And a different podcast.
Okay. So we're currently live on Instagram right now, which I'm going to turn off because I want to do something that only people that are actually listening should be able to do.
Listening later, you mean?
Listening later, yes. And so, for those of you that are tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on SoundCloud or on iTunes, we are doing our first giveaway that is only going to be exclusive, obviously, to the people that are tuned into this, either watching on YouTube or iTunes. And the giveaway is going to be of 2 earrings that are...
Well, it's one set of earrings.
Sorry, yeah. So... 1 set of earrings, which has 2 individual earrings for each of your ears, to be specific. They're stamped 10 karat gold, Minnie Mouse. I'm gonna get it close to the camera, so if you're watching, you can see what they're like. We're also gonna post a picture of it on Instagram. Now, to get these, to win these, I should say, these earrings. You have to be living in the United. We don't like giveaway rules are so complicated. Like this is something I don't know why giveaways are super complicated.
That's why there's so many legal aspects to sweepstakes. Yes, you're right.
I think there's even like a legal aspect. I don't even know if it's legal. Anyway, so the first person to send us a direct message or a DM on Instagram saying I want the mini earrings, will get these shipped to them. But you have to be living in the U.S. That's our only rule. 1, you have to hear this, obviously, because that's how you're going to know. And then 2, like if you're living in the U.S., we will ship these to you for the first person that sends us a DM or a direct message on Instagram. Only on Instagram, the first person on there, because it has timestamps. It's fair. Will win these earrings.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Ricard, for that.
No problem.
Any last thoughts on Disney princesses?
No, I think this was awesome. I learned a bunch. I did not expect to learn this much. I'm not going to lie. Did not expect it.
I'm still blown away by Moana.
Yeah.
I almost watched it again today.
Yeah, you should have. We'll probably watch it tonight again, I'm sure.
I hope so. We're wearing the right clothing for it.
We are wearing the right clothing, aren't we? So that was a wonderful episode. Please make sure to subscribe to us, watch our other videos, let us know what you think.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We hope you have a very, very magical day. Goodbye.